would like to say that yes, as my fellow colleagues Kashif and Saurabh and others have been saying, it has been a great, tiring session for you from morning till evening. We hope that while we speak right now, you are not bored to death. The topic that has been raised today, to my mind, is a very interesting topic. Because I started my life as a professional. I used to work for multinationals. I worked for conglomerates. It could be PricewaterhouseCoopers, where Amrish comes from. It could be Ernst & Young, or it could be a Citibank or a Morgan Stanley. And then I went to Reliance Capital and the Times of India Group, looking at their treasury. So there were conglomerates, Indian conglomerates, and foreign multinationals. Very interesting part. Why I'm giving you this brief is, I was a professional till about 15 years ago. Then I thought that I should become an entrepreneur, and I characterized myself as a professional entrepreneur. I didn't get a better title to myself. I said, let me call myself a professional entrepreneur. Today I call myself a mentor capitalist. The point which I'd like to stress is, when you are in an organization, I repeat, when you are in a multinational organization, in an MNC or in a conglomerate, you have all the infrastructure, you have all the resources at your disposal, and at the end of the day, you are executing. Sometimes you believe that yes, you're doing a great job, little realizing that at the end of the day, the organization moves forward whether you're there or not. The brand is there, you're a cog in the wheel, you're with the brand. You don't create a brand. You become an entrepreneur. You're the cook, the chef, the dishwasher, and the CEO. We are talking about entrepreneurship. First, from a cabin, which is about 1,000 square feet or 800 square feet. That is during my time. We end up having barely about 200 square feet, jostling for space. Sometimes it's a business center. Tasha, you'd be very akin to this, you'd be remembering it. The problem that we have is, we have to do all together. And you know what has troubled me the most when we are doing work? We talk about time management. I'm going to come to it in a minute. And I want to share this with you as part of my experience. When entrepreneurs make a mistake, they call it experience, me included. When professionals make a mistake, we call it non-performance and we fire them. We say that, listen, you didn't perform. But when the entrepreneur is questioned by the professional, the entrepreneur says, hey, listen, I put in my own money. For all you know, it could be borrowed money or the PE or the banking sector, as a RBI governor rightly stated day before yesterday. The super defaulters are the guys who say that I'm spending my own money. It's not the case. What happens is, this leads us to very important dialogue between a professional and an entrepreneur, more so in a startup. Because a startup doesn't attract talent. Sometimes, when we want to become an entrepreneur, we are waiting for the right time. We have thoughts in our mind that whether it will work or it will not work. For God's sake, I have a request here. Take the plunge. I did that 15 years ago. In the last 15 years, having been an equities head in Citibank, I have not touched the capital markets, but I have certainly got into unlisted and sold 9 of my startups. I've had 9 divestments till date as I stand in front of you and talk. I'm not saying I didn't make mistakes. But please leave the professional in you to do analysis and paralysis in place, for God's sake. If you are becoming entrepreneurs, take the plunge. Maximum, you lose money. Say, I have a stop loss. You need to get into that mode, and once you become an entrepreneur, you need to have 2 things very clear. How will I attract talent? The professionals don't come in. They become pricey. The very same guys who say that, yes, I want to work for a startup and other things, the professionals say, is it safe and secure? You need to be having a very fine balance between what you delegate, as Kashif rightly put it, because sometimes you don't know how much you delegate and you decentralize. And the other side, very critically, is that you need to say that what do I keep with myself? And sometimes what we do is we delegate whatever is the dirty part and keep whatever is the glamorous part, because we are the entrepreneurs. And when we mess up, we say the professional could have corrected us, but then the professional dare not talk to us. We need to be very clear how we delegate, how we decentralize, and how we extract work on a timely basis. The topic includes meetings. I have a very simple philosophy. Meetings cannot end up in discussions. Meetings have to end up in decisions. We normally say that we have had a meeting, we have an excellent call. Sometimes I have a major problem that when I'm with the guys in the US, they always love a con call. My sleep is disturbed and their sleep is not disturbed because we have to be in the night awake with them. But the problem is we keep on having unending calls with no time limits or conclusion. In my entrepreneurial experience in the last 15 years, I have seen that if you have meetings, be decisive. Sometimes you may take a decision that's just bad, never mind. It's a collective decision. And very importantly, choose your team right. Because if you have the right people, that's going to work well. Sometimes we start a business without having the people because we feel we should be frugal. We should be lean, mean, and hungry. Not necessarily. You need the people first. You have the products. You need the processes in place. But you cannot say that I'll put systems, processes, and products in place. And I have a good friend Amrish here, because then we'll say that the guys will come, the PE guys will come and say we need the big four to be auditing us. But we don't have the money to have the big four to come and audit me. I have little money with me. I need to know where I put it. I need to make my money before I have the big four coming to me, to audit me. So essentially, my submission is that yes, we will start the business, we will be frugal in our approach, but at the same time, we will get the revenue in place before we say that we need to have all the best practices in place. You look at anybody who comes here, it could be a PE or a VC or an angel investor, they'll say, we want every one of you to have best practices. I'm for all of that. Trust me, it's not easy on day one. And I would be requesting every one of you to be believing me when I say, even if you have been in institutions which practice best practices, it's difficult for a startup to have best practices on day one because it's an evolving creature. This animal is yet to take shape. It is just getting into a formation stage. More important, you need to be having for the company that this is the amount of resources I have. I have this as a budget, and I will be having a monitoring mechanism of whether sales takes place or not. One of the biggest problems in a startup when we are doing businesses, sometimes the sales doesn't take place. And as an entrepreneur, as a CEO or the MD or the chairman of the company, whatever title suits us, we take it. It's convenient. We feel nice. The problem is that we are not having the sales happening. We feel dejected, sometimes depressed. I think there is nothing to feel bad about. I have passed through stages when some of my startups never had sales for not 1 month, but for 2 or 3 months. But then you can't be inwardly driven. You need to have the face to the customer and not to the boss. Sometimes, I'm sorry to say, we have the face to the boss and your backside to the customer. Doesn't work. Because we keep on repeating that yes, we want to make the numbers happen. The numbers don't happen, we get frustrated. The product may be good. The packaging may be wrong. You may have to have a course correction. My simple technique which has worked for me, I've set up about 15 ventures, out of which I have failed in one. I've had the rest 14 by God's grace doing well. I follow one simple mechanism. The mechanism is to have weekly meetings and let the meetings not be a firing session. The meetings have to have 2 things in place. And I feel that there's one great word in the English lexicon where you can be selfish and selfless at the same time. And the word is nothing other than knowledge. You can be selfish in gaining knowledge, selfless in giving knowledge, and as a result, you can have a very good exchange between fellow employees as a team. And give a course correction then and there, instead of getting into a mode of saying whether this is good, whether that is good, or whether it's going to work or not work. Yes, some methods will work, some may not work. Somewhere you'll have to take a decision. You can't wait for too much of analysis. And in a startup, this is very critical. Third, what is your goal? Is it start, scale, sell, or grow? Have this very clear. And third, very critical thing is, we say that we keep 100% to ourselves and we will have a great fancy valuation in place. My experience tells me that in the beginning, have people, like-minded people to be our investors, your constructive critiques, so that you have course correction in place and have people who are going to be there with you. You don't need to keep 100% of the entire company. Keep 40% and have a larger valuation rather than keeping 100% and having zero valuation. Therefore, it calls for creating value, thereby resulting in valuation. All this calls for three things: structure, conduct, performance. And they have to not be sequential, they have to be going on simultaneously. This needs to be backed up by products, processes, and practices which are scaled up. You don't do all at the same time. There are priorities which are different at different points of time. You take one at a time for certain cases. In the other cases, what you need to do is, you need to say that I have to do 2 or 3 things together. And when you have a crisis, you are the captain of the ship. Take charge, for God's sake. Don't ask the guy who's your CFO to face the creditors. Don't ask a finance manager or the accounts manager to say, when fend off the vendors. Don't do that. Your name is spoiled. It doesn't serve you. You don't have second chances. Remember that there are no second chances. You don't have a second innings the moment your reputation is tarnished. But if you have failed, and you're being honest, you're being transparent, and you're being good in your work, and you've said, listen, I failed, but I did my best, people respect you. I've had that experience with me. And all that I would like to tell you all is, do it the right way, do it the simple way, don't make it complicated. Simplicity is the ultimate in luxury or the ultimate in sophistication. Remember that. And you are a winner. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.